Hello again. Welcome to another episode of Leading from Alignment with our good friend, John Opalewski.
Hey,
How's it going,
Jim.
John?
Good morning. I'm doing well. It's so good to be back with you. Again, I know this sounds like a broken record, but it's always nice to visit before we record.
It's good to have friends. I tell you, that's something that comes up again and again on this is we weren't created to do this thing alone and to have trusted advisors, friends. What was it Josh said last week? Something about people you're not accountable to and people you're not accountable for.
People you're not responsible for or accountable to, and having those kind of people in your life is important.
You know, and we have some of that, but I think our friendship goes deeper than our converged relationships. You know, there's the other part of it. So today, as I understand it, you've got something that I hope everybody is going to be very open-minded to, and because whether they know it or not, doing nothing is one of the most important things they can do. So why don't you lead us into today's topic, pod number 133?
Sure. The title is called The Secret to a Life-Giving Day Off. Isn't it funny that we forget how to take a day off, Jim? You know, it's like somehow that muscle atrophies in our life and we really struggle. I actually want to give a shout out to one of our listeners of the pod. Who actually asked me, John, would you do a podcast on this subject?
Right on.
That was several weeks ago. And I said, yes, I will. And interestingly enough, in pod 132, our guest, Josh Spurlock, challenged us to plan an entire year of days off. And Jim, my head is still spinning from that conversation.
I literally, as we were starting, I have a dry erase marker. I'm marking on my board. You can't see I'll sweat here that my day's off. I'm still digesting one statement that was made weeks ago.
That's right. And you know, but it really dovetails with our subject today. You know, like if we're going to plan a year's worth of days off, we should kind of understand how to do that well or do it better.
Yes.
So I think leaders are wondering about this question more and more. I don't think it's just this one listener who is concerned about that. And so this is our attempt to try to answer that, Jim, today, this podcast. Chuck Swindoll has some pretty sage advice on this subject. Of course, that's not a surprise. He's a wise guy. And he said this, he said this, tell me, why do we have such a hard time with this? I'd like to suggest that several things contribute to our lack of inner rest. Failure, and I love this part of it. He says, failure to give play, fun, rest, and leisure a proper place of dignity.
Yes.
He goes on to say our tendency to compete and compare leads to this wholesale dissatisfaction with things as they are. And our preoccupation becomes always wanting more. And then there's this self-imposed guilt that comes along with that, as well as unrealistic expectations. I think there's a ton there. I don't want to unpack what Chuck said. I just feel like, man, that is really powerful. I think the most important thing I heard there was giving dignity to play and fun and rest and leisure, because I think for many leaders, we don't see those pursuits as dignified.
I think if we were to say to the average pastor or leader, you know, what is the next right thing to do to honor God? You know, we say, well, we need to pray. Well, we have no questions about praying.
Right.
You know, that's the right thing to do. Well, you should read the word and meditate on scriptural promises and, you know, find yourself between those lines in scripture where you go from an orphan to a son or a daughter to an heir. No argument there. You know, do nothing, you know, rest. We don't think of rest as an assignment, but it's just as much a command as thou shalt not murder, right? It said it made the top 10.
That's
it
right.
Made the top 10 when God was creating the culture through law of, you know, his people. He said, one of the disciplines you're going to have to do is not killing each other. And something that's going to really help you with that is take a day to just relax.
That's right. That's so good. You know, so this day off, we Christians term it or call it Sabbath. And the Bible makes it clear that the Sabbath day is a day that's different than the other 6 days.
Yes.
In our week. In fact, Genesis 2:3 says this. It says, and God blessed the seventh day. Now, remember, this is the day that God rested. And it says that God blessed the seventh day and made it holy. In other words, he made it separate. He made it different. than the other 6 days of the week.
Yeah.
And, when I ask pastors about their day off, I'm often greeted by blank stares and uncomfortable mumbling.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we know this, pastors often struggle to find a consistent day off, right? Due to the unpredictable nature of their role, or sometimes workaholism.
Yeah.
Sometimes this false guilt tape that's running in their head saying, you got to work more, you can't rest, the work's not done. Well, I've got news for you. Past the pastoral role, in that role, the work is never done. So that tape is a tape that needs to be thrown out of your mind. And sometimes, Jim, even there's addiction to adrenaline and cortisol. And so I think those are some of the contributors to the struggle that pastors have with taking a real day off on a weekly basis.
Doesn't it go back to the Garden of Eden where God says, this is the way it's going to be. And trust me. And the one thing I'm asking you not to do is this. Everything else you can do. Everywhere else you can go. Everything else you can eat. Not this, though. And then somebody comes along and says, but I've got a better idea. I really think that God is prohibiting you from greater fruitfulness or greater joy or greater productivity. Whatever you value, the promise, the lie, the promised lie, the lying promise will always offer you those 30 silver pieces, will always offer you enlightenment, will always offer you success, but it's always a lie. It's always a lie. And it goes back to the very beginning. God says, this is the way right here. This is the way, walk in it. And we go, but if I work 7 days,
right?
Well, okay, I'll work 6 days, but I'll do all my other work. I'll do all my yard work and all my laundry and all my grocery shopping and all my, that's just a different kind of work.
That's right. And Josh kind of nailed us on that one.
Yes, you did.
Last week too. If you haven't listened to pod 131 and 132, boy, you need to listen to those podcasts or watch those podcasts. They're powerful. Jim, I think in a sense, that taking a day off is like tithing in a way.
Yes.
It's
the same thing.
We pastors teach our people that God can, they can get farther with 90% of their income than they can with 100%. Yes. And that takes faith to believe that, right? And I think those of us that have practiced that discipline in our lives have seen that actually happen, where God has taken that 90% of what we have and made it go farther than 100% would have. The same thing is true, I believe, with our day off. Not only can God get more done through us when we hit this weekly reset button, as I like to call the day off. I think it's not only a fruitfulness issue, it's a longevity issue as well, right?
Yes.
So it's this weekly reset button that helps us get in touch with what truly matters. It reminds us every week that our spouse and our children are the most important disciples in our lives. It reinforces the truth that unless God builds this thing, I'm laboring in vain. And it acquaints us with life outside of our ministry or our work, which every leader should experience on a regular basis. If your entire life is wrapped up in ministry or your business, you are a runaway train heading for a crash. And so, Jim, with that in mind, let's turn this into practical now and look at some elements of a great day off. And look, these are like uber practical. None of you, I think, who are listening or watching are going to say, I have never heard that before. So I don't want to disappoint you.
But can I also say this, though, at the same time, because I know what you're about to say, like, these are the things that make a day off worth having. Like you say, well, no, there's a benefit to doing it this way. And stop. Let me tell you the benefit of doing it this way. Let me tell you what comes out of a day that God says is holy and blessed. We say about this with the tithe. The tithe is set aside, it's set apart, and it has a different covenant attached to it. I take $1 and I take $17 and I exchange it at Starbucks for 1 cup of coffee, right? That's done. I get the coffee, they get the dollars, and it's over with. But when you give, it lives under a different set of rules. It's if I have $10 and I give you one, I have $9. If I have $10 and I give God one, I have $9 in my hand, but I have $1 that's seed in the ground, now under a different paradigm, producing something else. And so if I have 1 hour and I give it to you, we enjoy our friendship, we enjoy iron sharpening iron. I take that hour, I give it to God, especially on the Sabbath. It's holy. It's living under a different paradigm. So to believe that a week's worth of blessings can come out of a day of obedience is very real.
That's
just
really
like
good.
100% of blessing and more can come out of 10% of seeds planted that produces a different harvest because it lives under a different paradigm. So when I read the list that they're about to hear, I get excited about my day off because it's an offering to God, but it's also, it was created for me. There's a benefit. I love it.
Yeah,
so,
Jesus
sorry
said
to interrupt
that,
you,
right? No, you didn't interrupt. That was wonderful. And Jesus even said that the Sabbath is for us, right?
Yeah.
Man wasn't created for the Sabbath. The Sabbath was created for man.
Yeah.
And so, I really appreciate that input and that you really pushing up on those thoughts because they're really germane to the subject. So I'm going to give you, let's see here, 8 things that you can do. I don't encourage you to try all 8 on your day off because it might be too much. But
number one, I would encourage you though.
Some of these I think are like should be part of your weekly day off, and some you can add as you see fit. Here's the first one, and that is to sleep in.
Amen.
Yes. I'm not sure I need to really explain that one that very much. If you're able, add an extra hour or so, maybe 2, to your sleep schedule. That's a good use of your day off. Slow down. That's the second idea. A great goal, I think, Jim, on your Sabbath is to not hurry at any point.
Yes. And the anxiety that comes with it, right? And the pressure and the piling up of life. Yeah, it's a time to surrender that. Yeah.
So I think that's a great goal for Sabbath. I'm not going to rush today. I'm not going to be in a hurry today. I'm going to, so along with that second one, take some extended time with Jesus on your Sabbath. I pray and I read and I study God's word daily. But on my day off, there's more time for extended moments with him. So I do more journaling on my day off. I'm quieter in my praying on my day off. It's interesting how, like, on my work days when I'm praying, it's very like list oriented, it's almost like, but on my day off, it's like I take that step back and I'm not in a rush when I'm praying. I'm doing more listening. I spend more time meditating on what I'm reading and just sitting quietly with the Lord.
Right.
So a great thing to do on your day off, to have a great day off, is just to slow it down and not be in a hurry.
Right on. Love it.
I would encourage you under this slow down one to do some extra reading, but no leadership books. Right. I want you to read something fun. We want you to read something fun on your day off. Here's the third one, Jimmy. You can jump in at any time and share your thoughts on it. But here's the third one. Third thing, to a third clue or a third secret to a great day off, and that is to refuel.
Yes. What
fills your emotional bucket? And you cannot answer that question, work.
Yes.
I love to work. Work fills my emotional bucket. No. Remember,
you're missing the point.
Sabbath is a different day than the other days in your week. So I the things that fill my tank, right? Taking in God's creation, watching waves on the Great Lakes or the ocean, walking through the woods in the fall here in Michigan, driving in northern Michigan to take in the beautiful fall colors.
Right on.
Those kinds of things, a couple of hours doing those types of things makes me feel like a new person emotionally and mentally. And I used to I'd be puzzled by that. Like, wow, why do I feel so good after doing this for a couple hours? And I just realized it's just the way that God has wired me. He's put me together. And that's what does it for me. It might not do it for our listeners. But you have to locate what is it that when I'm done, my tank is just full, and schedule schedule some of that time on your day off.
Right. Yeah. It may not be a campfire, but I bet you it ain't the mall. right? I mean, there's,
Yes.
it's the other thing I was thinking too, John, when you were saying that, especially the first one, the sleep one, is that the Hebrew, so I understand the days, the day begins at sundown. There is evening and there was morning the first day. So you say sleeping in, I can't sleep in. I got little kids. But then maybe turn the TV set off at sunset, that day,
Yeah.
and read a book. You can begin your Sabbath at sunset. The kids go to bed, and you'll naturally fall asleep an hour earlier. So you still get that extra hour of sleep.
Yeah.
You just get it. You're still going to get up at 5 when the kids wake up, but you're asleep by 10
That's
rather
perfect.
than by 11:30. To enjoy this from the evening, to begin the Sabbath perhaps with an evening meal, and then have that day. And then once the sun goes down, if you got laundry, again, I don't want to be regimental or too legal, because it
That's
is our
right.
servant.
That's right.
But we are honoring God by trusting him to do the work that we cease to do on that time. And you want to give him that time, and you need that time personally as well.
That's right. Number 4, here's the 4th idea: get outside and get your body moving.
Yes.
In Michigan in the winter,
Yes.
I get it. That can be
Yeah.
tough. You might need to go to the gym to get your body moving, during those months. But fresh air and exercise is a wonderful addition to your Sabbath day.
Yes.
Get your body moving. Here's another idea. Number 5, take a nap. You may have either started your sleep an hour early the night before, or you slept in another hour. But man, at midday, if you're tired, take a 30-minute nap, man. Just slow it down. Number 6, spend time with your spouse and replenishing friends. I think your Sabbath day is a great day for date night.
Yeah.
With your wife, and reconnecting with
Right.
her, or your husband. If you're a female leader, right? Reconnecting with your husband is a wonderfully replenishing thing to do on your Sabbath day.
Absolutely.
Let me give you a couple more, Jim. And this is you alluded to this earlier, but I would encourage, and I'm encouraging myself here too, is to leave house projects for another day.
Yeah.
Now, that's one way to go, and I think that's a good way to go. One of my friends, he does house projects. He's a very interesting guy. He's a leader of a church of about 800 people, and he said, John, he uses this technique called 50-minute segments, and he says, so at work, at church, I do 5 50s.
Yeah.
Every day. So I do a 50-minute segment of work. I take 10 minutes to get up from my desk, walk around, say hi to somebody. I do 5 of those. And then he said, when I get home, I do a 50-minute segment at home. And so I'm doing, like I'm cleaning out a closet, or I'm chopping some wood, or I'm
right.
And so he gets to Sabbath, he's got a lot of the project stuff done because he just adds it to his day. I think that's brilliant, right? So that's another way to slice this, right?
Right. I think too, knowing you only have so many of those limits what you commit to. So you don't find yourself committed to too many things that have too many demands. And then we lie to ourselves saying, when things get back to normal, when most pastors, the only thing that has a normal setting on it is their dryer. Everything else is reactionary, but you can create compartments for the things that are most important. I love that.
And here's the thing, I think the trend, the default for most pastors of growing churches is as their church grows, they get busier.
Oh yeah.
And left to itself without intentionality, that's what's going to happen to you. If your business grows, that's what happens to you. If your ministry grows, that's what happens to you. And here's a guy who has had a growing church. I've known him for 8 years. And the church has, except for the pandemic years, his church has grown every year. And he's come with this discipline every week. And man, he really has figured this out in a beautiful way. Yeah. And so it's doable, right? It's possible, even if your church is expanding or your business is expanding.
I love it. Yeah, that's smart. It's smart for so many reasons. We should, whoever that is, we should have him on to talk about that. I think
we will.
I'm interested in more. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's a great idea. I believe he'd be willing to sit with us and talk to us about the 550s. approach. I think that would be wonderful. Great idea, Jim. I'll reach out to him and we'll get him.
And after he does, you and I can co-author another book together, and we'll give him any credit. It'll be awesome. It'll be good. Say, boy, those guys are so wise. Well, we're plagiarists, but it works. Either way, it works.
Let me give you one more way to have a great day off, and that is to treat yourself.
Yeah.
Do something like eat one of your favorite meals.
Yes.
Or even a dessert, on your day off. Do something to treat yourself. That is just something you don't do normally during your week. If you're listening today or watching and you're bivocational, you're working in the corporate arena and you're pastoring a church, you're going to have to get creative with what we've shared. We understand that you might not be able to get a full 24-hour stretch each week off. We get that. Yeah. But try to string together. Here's some ideas. You could try to string together several nights in a row where you're pivoting from work. Let's say 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, and you've got 2 or 3 evenings in a row off.
Yeah.
Is that ideal? No, it's not ideal, but it's better than nothing. Or maybe you could string together a 12-hour stretch or a 16-hour stretch, like you're done with work on Friday at 5 and you don't pick anything up until Saturday at noon. Again, is that ideal? No, it's not ideal, but it is better than not trying to incorporate this principle of Sabbath into your world. So if you're bivocational, we encourage you to experiment and find something that fits you. Right
on. Yeah, brilliant. Well, here's what I heard during that time. I'm the proud owner of Charlotte Rose Weekend, who is a 7.5-year-old Old English bulldog. And my thought on Sabbath is whatever she's doing, if I'm doing the same thing, it's probably Sabbath. So if I work any harder than an old, obese bulldog on the Sabbath, I'm probably violating some principle. So Charlie is my nap buddy, and we watch History Channel, and that dog's been by my side writing every sermon I've written for the last 7.5 years. And she is honestly, she moves at a pace that helps me because I'm more of a hyper chihuahua and she's more of a throw rug with eyes, So I think that we thought the other day that if she lives to be 10 years old, she will have slept 9 of them. So she has this down pat. She has this reverse tithing, when we eat, we call it reverse dyslexic tithing. The 10% belongs to the dog. Yeah. That's the. So I agree, John, this is brilliant. And I think, can I just give you a couple, like a lightning round question or two?
Yeah, sure.
So there's going to be pushback. I don't have time. I have little kids. My kids get up. They don't know about Sabbath. They don't. What could you say to somebody that's they're leading, they're married, they have a family, the kids, it's time change, it's holidays, it's Easter. What advice do you have for them?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I can appreciate your situation. We raised 4 boys.
Yeah.
We had 4 young boys when we were lead pastors, and I understand that. So let me just be compassionate towards you in that way. However, you will always find a reason to not do this.
Yeah.
There will always be an excuse.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so much like we talk to pastors who are bivocational, maybe you're full-time, but you've got 4 or 5 youngins, and that's a busy time of your life. And we get that.
Yeah.
You may have to use the bivocational approach, right? Where you're finding segments of time to be alone. Babysitters are amazing. Grandma and Papa are amazing. Helps to you in these. Jim, the best gift I ever received for Christmas in my entire life.
Yeah.
When I was a lead pastor, one of the ladies in our church who had raised 3 boys, I believe it was, said, for Christmas this year, I'm giving you and Laura free babysitting 1 day a week for an entire year.
Wow. Beautiful. What'd you say her phone number was, John? I think our listeners would like to know.
I don't have it anymore. But
Love it.
You know,
Love it.
and I know that that doesn't happen to everybody, but I'm telling you that there are people who will help you with your children.
Yeah.
If you ask and if you pay.
Yeah.
And this was a
Yes.
gift from her to us,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So I would say the same thing, Jim, to pastors and leaders in that scenario that I would to a bivocational person, that you have to get creative and realize that every season of your life, there is going to be an excuse.
Yeah. Right. Right. Good. That's a great point. Regardless, right? It's the season. It's Easter. It's Mother's Day. It's Christmas. It's summertime. It's sports time. I've
got little kids. I've got teenagers.
Yeah.
You're busy with little kids. As your kids grow, you get busy too. They're in sports. They're doing stuff.
They need a ride to everything, and you got to be a good parent, be at everything. And
so I guess my answer is I understand the struggle, and we're not here to lay any guilt trip on you.
Right.
Please listen to us. You will always have a reason to not Sabbath. That will seem legitimate. You have to fight for this and work on this. I fight for it all the time. Yeah. I haven't figured this out perfectly. Absolutely. I have to fight.
No. Right. And we set our own schedule.
That's right.
And Josh saying the other day, plan your days off a year in advance we both looked at each other in stunned silence. When Josh was off the call, we looked at each other, just started laughing like, wow, how have we never thought of that? Right. That's brilliant. He should teach people. He should help. He should be a counselor. He's really good at it.
Yeah.
Well, John, thank you for this. I think, people might have said, well, that's good. I knew that, kind of like you should do push-ups or eat your lettuce. It's not. This is one of those things that if done well will be such a blessing. But remember, just like tithing, if there isn't a blessing, there isn't just a lack of blessing. There may even be some consequences, right, to dishonoring this principle. And so I believe that the fact that we want to please God pleases God. So do the best you can. Love your kids, but even teaching them today is a day where we rest. So no, we're not going to be going places and doing things, and there's no yard work today. We're just going to snuggle. We're going to read books. We're going to, whatever it is, and teaching them the principle. So it'll be natural. What's so unnatural to many of us who are the grandchildren of factory workers who had to cut 10 seconds out of a routine so they can make 3 more cars per day. That's the way you build a car. That's a terrible way to live. Yep. So we can teach our children a better way. We should. So John, thank you for this. It's a blessing. And as always, our listeners or viewers, man, we hope that this gets deep in your heart. We hope that this is a blessing to you. And we hope that you'll take this and not just live it, but your life will become a shining light that will lead others as well. And John, if they're saying, but I still got this question, how would they get a hold of you to ask that question? What's the best way?
Yeah, and it's not just getting a hold of me, Jim. It can be getting a hold of our team too. We have a great team. Go to our website, convergecoach.com, and there is a contact us link, and you fill out a little form, and we will reach out to you. We'll spend 30 minutes with you for no obligation. It might be me, it might be another person on our team who might be have more expertise in that area, but we want to help you figure this out. And so that's the best way to get a hold of us.
Perfect. All right. As always, God bless you guys. We're praying for you, cheering you on, just hoping that we're scratching every time we gather, we're reaching, because this is a big deal, and to get it right is everything. So we want to restore, want to renew, want to revive you through this practice of just taking some time and being with Jesus alone. And the only thing on the to-do list is God marked, So God bless you. And we hope that you continue to just do a great job as you lead from alignment.